And that's the first thing that I saw. I mean, I just yelled as soon as I turned the corner. I literally yelled, "Oh my God."
And when you ran up to school, you saw no people?
No people. There was nothing.
That had to be an eerie feeling.
Yeah, there's nothing, because I drive by it, like I said, every single day I drive by, and there's always kids, there's always somebody out on the playground or something. But you drive up there, all you hear is wood snapping. Where this house was, I guess they had natural gas on there, and then you just hear it spewing, and it's just so vivid, so much just wood snapping, the gas spewing out, and that's all that you hear. And then I got up to the school, and I started yelling for her. I tried to, yell at my daughter, for anybody to answer it. I guess we were behind the gym, and it's where the first area of the kids were. I looked over to my left, and I saw one kid coming out of their protective area. And that's the first group of kids that I went to. We went to it, and we saw 2 or 3 of them coming out, and they had nowhere to go. So I hopped up onto the debris rubble, and there was just a very small pathway that they could get from their shelter to me. And so I grabbed, after each one of them got out, 15 or 20 kids, I don't know what was in this actual area. I picked everyone, I looked each one of them in the eye, let them know that it's gonna be okay, and then I picked each one of those up, pulled them down off of the rubble, I guess is the best thing I could say to it, and set them down. I was literally just looking to see what else I could see, and I look over to my left, and the gym teacher, Mr. Hickson, her gym teacher, Mr. Hickson, is there, because he was already in the school, and he is there trying to move some rubble around. And I looked down there at him, and just directly underneath his legs, we saw one teacher, and all she had, her head was the only thing sticking out of the rubble. And so she just, that's basically what the next image that I saw. And she's just saying, help me, I've got kids underneath me. And so we got to that point, and she's probably 4 foot off of the ground at that time. But she's just buried in rubble. There's rubble on the left over, on the right over. And so at that time, we just start pulling rubble off of her. To her left, there's this big metal, I don't know if it's a door frame or if it's an I-beam or something coming from somewhere else. That's the part that we had to lift off of there. So I'm just, struggling as much as I can. We get that off, and that's thrown out of the way. And right beneath there's a small area, it's about, no more than a foot by a foot, and one kid just popped right out of it. He was on his hands and knees. He stood up, not a single scratch on him, and he just ran out. And so we pulled it right below that. There's one more piece of cinder block. Pulled it up, 2 more kids right below him. So within a 2 foot, 3 foot area, there's 3 kids that we got out. We kind of work our way, and we get about to her waist, and she's been over, and she got her arms spread out. And then on each side of her arm, there's 3 kids that she's hugging, that she's protecting on that. So we pull the debris off of them, and then at that, each one of them gets up. Small scratches on their faces, on their backs, there's some scratches, but each one of those 6 kids, they get up and leave as well. There's about 18 inches or a foot left, and we're still just yanking everything off that we can. And there was one teacher that was below it. I believe her name was Miss Jansen. I think y'all did a story on her. And we get to the same thing, and she has 4 to 8 kids on each side of her, and that she's protecting. She's on the ground, sitting down, and then she sees, that she's sitting there, just, get me out, and, I've got kids next to me. And so we dig down to her. She has something, her right arm is trapped underneath a bunch of rubble. We dig that and lift it up off of her, and she's got 2 kids right below her, where that rubble is protecting. And then back to her, I guess she was facing this direction. And then on her back, we pull up more cinder blocks, and then there's 2 more kids right beneath that. So we get those kids out, and then we start working on there's a doorway to our left at that time, and we start digging, and that's when we get the last kid out of that section. Once that's done, that's kind of when I start worrying about her. You know, I went through all of this. I haven't seen anything at that time, so I just yell out her name just real loud and you know, just empty at that time. I don't see anything else. But at that time, that's when I realized I can't feel my arms at this time. You know, so I sat there and, you know, I don't know if it's adrenaline that was going through it, it ran off or whatever. But we go to the left where some kids are coming out of the library, and I was going to try to move one more piece of metal out of the way. I couldn't bend over to pick it up. And I was just, at that time, there was just nothing left. And I was like, you know, there's nothing else that I can do here to help. And so I turn around and look toward the back, and all the kids are kind of congregating out in the middle. You know, all the kids that they've got out. Parents are starting to show up at this time. You know, I just keep looking. I'll keep looking for her, and I'm just scanning, just scanning around everything. And then one good thing about this little one, she got my height, and so I look across, and she spotted me first, and all I could just hear was just one, you know, just huge yell that said "Daddy," and I turned, and she just running to me. You know, people always ask, well, how could you live there? And it's something I was thinking about. You know, how do you live there? And we don't live here for the disasters. I live here for what happened after the disasters. You know, every single person is out offering a helping hand. Anybody and everybody you walk by, you know, say, can I get you a bottle of water? Can I get you some clothes? You know, is there anything that you need? That's the reason that we want to stay here if we stay, is because just that sense of community, that everybody's part of a family.